Warframe is a game of many facets. The satisfying gunplay and creative mechanics drive the player to experimentation, while the outrageous abilities and synergetic nature running missions in squads provides a dopamine high within a power fantasy setting. But in the looter genre, sprinting and hobbling from objective to objective, Warframe stands out as a bastion in movement. Let's ruin it. Okay, so the rules. Number 1, no jumping, bullet jumping, or wall jumping. Movement-based abilities, wall latching, rolling, backflips, and the such are all fair game. Number 2, trading is allowed, but I cannot trade for primed Warframes. It would not be fair if I had a Titania Prime just 1 hour in. Number 3, energy consumables are a negative, but auras and abilities that regen energy are fine. There needs to be some sort of weight and consequence to the use of movement abilities. Number 4, the goal is to reach the end of the new war, all without a spacebar. And with that, let us suffer. You'd think that picking Volt, the movement-based Warframe, would be the first choice, but with a lack of a vertical movement technique, speed won't be much use to us. So Excalibur will be our choice. Of course, the Grineer have no respect for the physically and mentally handicapped like myself, so I need to finesse my way in to grab my first weapon, the Skana. If you pick the stick over the sword, I don't know what to say to you. Approaching the bridge, you're prompted for your first actual jump. So completely ignoring that, we make our way to grab the Lotto. Leaving enemies behind is a strategic choice in case we run out of energy in the mission, because trust me, we are going to need it. This cave is the first real hurdle of the run. You're meant to bullet or wall jump up to the top. So using Excalibur / dash as a vertical movement tech, we're up to once again finesse our way to the top using wall latching. As long as you save at least 25 energy, you can skip the entire parkour tutorial and cross this gap.
Oh, I hate the auto. Like, it fucks up the movement of slash dash so much. It's the fucking worst.
Imagine getting fucked by a rabbit.
You got fucked by a rat.
Now, as long as you save at least 25 energy, you can skip the entire parkour tutorial and cross this gap. The rest of the mission is just killing, meaning the first mission of the tutorial is completable with 0 jumps total. Alright, Sabuuchi here with a small ad break. This video is taking a bit of time to make given Warframe's many nuances and timers. So if you want to support me, the done crap that I do, and extend this channel, head over to my description and check out my Patreon. Only one tier, just $5 a month, nets you early videos, a funny purple Discord name, and an exclusive channel, all with credits at the end of my suffering videos. If not, a simple like and comment can go a very long way in helping me, and that's about it. We need to connect our comms other Tenno, because as we all know, the region chat puppies are the most knowledgeable Warframers.
How do I jump? Legs.
Geometry be damned, luckily the spy tutorial mission requires a total of 0 jumps. Time to break Darvo out of the slammer. I accidentally forgot to turn off public, so say hello to this other MR0 Tenno. This tile has plenty of ramps, so I give it a 5 out of 10 for handicapped accessibility. There are a few funky jumps you can do with slash dash, but none of them are required. I just sorta did it because running and rolling is as slow as sin, and will probably be harder than the majority of the parkour puzzles.
I think this guy has decided to take after you and just not jump. Oh, never mind.
He's an MR0. He doesn't know what jumping is either.
Next up is the tutorial on the asteroid tile, and I gotta say, I am surprised how accessible these older tiles are in terms of movement. I know that they are abridged tiles and lack a lot of stuff from later nodes, for example, Marina borrowing from the Uranus tile set, but so far it's been pretty easy minus the first tutorial. There are some potential soft blocks if you don't have any energy, but just make sure you have at least 1 or 2 dashes in your back pocket.
But don't worry, there's still plenty of suffering inbound.
Removing the Ascaris Negator and thoroughly tickling Captain Vor's taint, we managed to get through the tutorial and Vor's prize with a whopping 0 mandatory jumps. Blasting through the M1 tutorial, I am no longer baby. I turned myself into a little P-boy using the very limited free-to-play color selection to begin my trek through Earth. Despite its complex geometry, Earth is relatively straightforward, a lot of bramble being surpassable just by rolling or walking around it. This Spy Vault, on the other hand, is a throbbing Richard. You need to lower the water levels through 3 control panels. The slash dash through the waterfall was easy enough, but I thought I'd be slick and do some funny zipline shenanigans only to find out quickly that the only way to get off is to jump, or in my case, die.
Holy shit, the savior.
I tried to say that before you jumped on, but I wasn't able to say it fast enough.
I could have sworn you could get off without jumping.
Getting kitted by this asshole rail boss for a full minute, we unlock the path to Venus. Venus is a little bit more of a handful than Earth, but to our luck there are plenty of elevators to get around, what we would normally bullet jump past. Some gaps need a little bit of movement teching, but nothing Slash Dash can't handle with some energy in reserve. I decided to queue up for this 10-wave defense, seeing that I need it for a junction challenge, and I was pleased to find another P-boy. All in all, Venus? Perfectly doable without jumping. Before hopping into the Jackal fight, I decided to hit up Cetus. There are a few things that we need to farm here to make the run a bit easier. Since I purchased the Strun from the market, I lack a damage mod, which is kind of a big deal, but the tier 1 bounties have a chance to drop it, but also Oxium. You can find Oxium from Oxian drones on any Corpus planet, but we will not be able to efficiently farm it until Jupiter, so getting it out of the way now is of the utmost importance. Even with teleporting paths, traversing through open worlds without bullet jumping, arc wing, or operator makes me flaccid, and some of the challenges requiring me to snag caches are just downright mean, the only way to access them being jumps or really narrow slashes. Luckily it didn't take too long for me to get my point blank. While I chipped away at some tier 2 bounties, I also managed to grab myself some control modules, otherwise I'd be waiting until the void before I can reliably farm them. Returning to Venus with a souped up Strun in hand, we face the Jackal. Even rolling doesn't seem to help us get past his ground waves, but I discovered a little trick.
You might have Flap and the rich lady under your spell, but it's gonna take more than that to impress me.
It's just a Jackal fight. Shoot the limbs, dodge the beams, pairs on his cuckhole. And with that, Venus is completable with 0 jumps. Get nay-nayed. Hell of the Kubro takes place back on Earth, and nothing out of the ordinary happens here. We can continue on to Mercury while our dog cooks in the oven. I'm out of energy. I'm in a hole and I'm out of energy.
What did you do?
You have to wall climb for this area.
He doesn't have energy.
That has no energy.
He has don't you have energy siphon?
I'm
No,
MR1!
he doesn't.
Please, sir,
If
just a
only
smidge.
Sahasa
Just a
Kubro.
smidge of energy, that's all I need.
If only Sahasa Kubro, yeah.
I don't think. Oh,
You can do it. You have one shot.
The run is saved.
The asteroid tile has the most funky jumps thus far, and it's kind of hard to plan your route in these missions like Exterminate, since sometimes the enemies will just spawn behind you, but it's doable if you keep your eye on your energy and are mindful of your dash usage. Galleon spy vaults are a little bit of a pain in the ass. For example, this jump right here. A lot of vertical movement is needed if you want to get through here without triggering the alarms, but it's entirely doable. Look, they're starting to pre-install ramps now, bless their decaying hearts. Captain Vor is... Captain Vor. Mercury's done. Once Awake brings us to tiles that we've already established as completable, so nothing to really mention here except hey, we get a heat sword. Topping the sector's femboy, we head over to Mars with the most open tile set yet. There's a ton of cliff sides, hills, gaps, pillars, all to make this planet a real annoyance, but the Grenier are slowly incorporating more ramps into their infrastructure, so we can't be all that mad. It's definitely the planet that I've had to slash dash through the most, but it's completely doable without jumping. One of my clanmates dragged me into battle camp on this account and gave me access to the Tenno lab, and an extension, the Warframe Zephyr. With the Oxium and control modules I farmed earlier on Cetus, I can get this bird of flight much earlier than the Void, but currently we have no nanospores. The earliest we can get these isn't Deimos, but lucky for me, we can get to the Derelict earlier than intended by visiting Maru this week on Mars. The Rayatan Hunt mission is, luckily enough, on the Derelict. Using everything that we learned, we managed to finesse our way through the Orokin parkour puzzle, grab a heaping pile of endo, and walk out rich in nanospores to start crafting the burb. Heading back over to Mars, we dash on over to Lech Krill to cordially plug his pipes and finish this planet with 0 jumps under our belt. Also, for some reason, my Spectre fight just didn't show up today. Phobos is just the Corpus ship that we've seen on Venus and in quest lines, so there's not really much to bring up here. Spy missions, per usual, are annoying as ever without the use of proper parkour, but are completely doable with our current setup. Now for the real challenge.
I cannot hold it in anymore. I just wanna...
Deleting the Junction's heel sled, we make our way to Ceres. A lot of nooks and crannies to get stuck in, but it's probably the most accessible Grenier planet if you stay on the right path. This interception tile may be small, but all the gaps and the one singular ramp to get up from the lower level makes it a slog if you have 0 energy. We experienced most of this tile in Vor's Prize, so not too much has changed since. A reminder that all good ninjas take the elevators. A pretty straightforward tile and a merciful one considering the ones that are coming up immediately after this. Also, I should bring up there was this one point where I got stuck in this notch with 0 energy and an energy orb just out of reach. My Taxon was still an hour away from being completed. Energy Siphon still isn't enough the Nightwave shop, and the Grenier were too weak to kill me.
Like suicide, wrist rags, I could exercise you. This could be your phys ed. Cheat on your man, homie. Ah, try to sneak through the door, man. Can't make it, the shit's stuck. Out my way, son! Door stuck! Door!
Okay, so technically jet propulsion is not jumping, so we need to get the Arcwing out of the way. Just a simple run through the void to get to a torsion beam portal that brings us to the Europa tile set, and there it is. Luckily, we have a hole in the wall that won't give me an STI. We still need to stay on Europa to do some more excavators just to get the Arcwing parts. While the tile I rolled is a little bit lumpy, it's doable. The next 2 excavations take place on Earth and Venus, so we are golden. And for the first time in over 10 hours, I know what mobility feels like. This may be the first time I have ever said this, but I am happy to have Odinata on my back. It's speed! Actual movement speed! Valkyr dies of cringe and we finally have to face our demons. Jupiter has been a looming thought in the back of my mind since the start of this challenge. The vast gaps and broken scaffolding, the zip lines and rails that I can't even use without dying or having to AoE blast myself. It makes this beast of a tile very intimidating, and with over a day left before I get my Zephyr, a smart player would simply just wait. I am not very smart. This place is a hellscape wrapped in methane gas. But if you are lucky enough on the tiles rolled, if you are lucky enough with the enemy placement not force locking your slash dash while in the air, if you are persistent enough, you can actually do this without jumping. None. It is wild that even the most smooth-brained, non-functioning spacebar players can actually beat Jupiter with 0 jumps. After that mess I had to go through, I needed a brief respite, so I decided to spend some time farming some spy vaults to finish leveling my weapons but also get a Hell's Chamber. The incubation timer went off and my easy-baked dingleberry finished cooking.
I named her Pupsker.
I topped my break off by shooting a woman in the face and collecting the arcane codices on the Galleon and Corpus freights. I was not expecting this challenge to be as stressful and as simultaneously casual as it turned out. There is so much that I'm learning about DE's early level design and how it differs to its newer contemporaries. I'm only halfway through the star chart and right at the cusp of starting some major quests with potential prog stops. But with Zephyr under my scrote, I feel like the rest of the challenge will be a breeze, right? Right?
Oxygen levels detected. Emergency. User death. Vital.